Our last topic of lesson 2 is actually going to be over the next 2 videos. We're going to be talking about percentiles. We're going to be talking about percentiles and something called cumulative percentages in this video. So as a reminder, when we have a frequency distribution, it describes an entire set of scores. And there is another way to describe a location of a single score. Percentile is how we find an individual score. And it is actually what we call a transformation of a raw score. We transform it into something that can be compared to other scores. It allows for meaningful comparisons across individuals. Here's an example. Let's say that you got a score of 43 on an exam. And you don't really know how you did compared to the rest of the class, so you look into your percentile rank. So if 60% of the class had scores at either 43 or lower, your score has a percentile rank of 60%. So a score of 43 is at what we call the 60th percentile. So percentiles have nothing to do with actual right or wrong answers. It just shows where you are located relative to other people. It's a comparative score. So here's an example right here. This person is at the 80th percentile. That means 80% of the people score at or below that same score. Percentile rank is the percentage of individuals in the distribution with scores at or below a particular value. The rank gives us what we call a cumulative percentage. We're going to be calculating some of these. The score identified by the rank is called the percentile. So to find a percentile, you have to use a frequency distribution table. And on that table, you're going to count how many are at or below each category. And these counts are called cumulative frequencies. And this is what the top of the table will look like. We'll have our scores first, and then the frequency of those scores. We're going to have something called cumulative frequencies, and then cumulative percents. So there you go. This is what we're going to do. We need to first find what we call the cumulative frequency. That means at any point, starting from the bottom, how many scores are there at a certain level? So let's take a look and see what this looks like if we were to fill this table in. First of all, as a reminder, our scores are from 1 to 5, and the frequency are the number of people who earn those scores. So we're going to have to also know the total number of frequency. So let's add that up real quick. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 8 is 14, plus 5 is 19, plus 1 is 20. We just so happen to have 20 again. Okay. So here we go. This is how we figure out the cumulative frequency. First of all, we go to the very bottom score. The bottom score is 1. There are 2 people that have a score of 1. So how many people are there total so far? There are 2, right? But if you add up the numbers of people that have a score of 1 or 2, that's 2 plus 4, which gives us 6. This is the cumulative frequency. We accumulate to have 6 people by this point. All right, so what is the cumulative frequency for 3? Well, we add 2 plus 4 plus 8, and that gives us 14. So by the time you get up to a score of 3, there are 14 people there. Does that make sense? And I'll just go through this very slowly just so you get it. A cumulative frequency for 4 means you add up all the scores up to 4. 4 plus 2 is 6, 14, 19. There you go. Add 1 more for 20 and you end up with the top cumulative frequency. Our top cumulative frequency will equal our total n. This is the cumulative frequency total, or column, easy for me to say. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to convert this into cumulative percents. We do that by taking the number in the cumulative frequency column and dividing it by n. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. So 2 divided by 10 is 0.10, and then we convert it into a percent, right? So 6 divided by 20 is 0.30, which makes 30%. So let's think of it this way. when we have a score of 1, that's just 10% of the total. But when we have a score of 2 and 1, the cumulative frequency is 6, which is 30% of the total. By the time you get up to 3, there are 14 scores there. 14 divided by 20 gives us 70%, 95%, and 100%. So this is sort of how the score percentages accumulate as you go up. This is a mistake that a lot of people make. Are you ready for it? They will do the percentages of the frequencies over here in the cumulative frequencies, and that's not what we're doing. We're finding the cumulative percent. So we look at the cumulative frequency scores and find out what percent those are of the total. You might want to just marinate on this a little bit, just kind of stare at the chart and really kind of figure out what it is. So again, you're going to determine the total number of scores first, and then determine the cumulative frequencies for each value, and then convert those into percentages. So cumulative percentages are the percent of individuals with scores at or below a particular point in the distribution. So the measurement, we use this with continuous variables. So let's take a look and see what this means. 30% of the individuals at a score of 2 have been accumulated by the time you reach the top of the interval for number 2. So for a score of 2, the cumulative frequency is 30. So a score of 2 is said to be at the 30th percentile. So what is the percentile ranking for a score of 5 on the exam? Think about this for a minute. Here's the score of 5. And the percentile ranking is 70%. So you just draw a line right over to see where it is. That means 70% of the people in this group scored at or below 5. So let's take a look at that. We have 3 plus 4 plus 7, 9, 14. There's 14 people here. 14 divided by 20 gives us 70%. All right, I hope that this makes sense to you. In the next video, we're going to do some more practice.